Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB Postgame Show here. It's the Week 5 edition, and the Eagles have officially lost their first game of 2025 in unprecedented fashion. A very interesting second half of the football game. An abomination of a fourth quarter for the Eagles, marred with flags, inconsistent offense, and all the same on all the like. 21-17 Big Sills. The Denver Broncos come to Philadelphia and upset the Eagles and win the football game. Big Sills, your first reactions here to this one?
Boy, I'll tell you, man, I said whoever won the rushing game would win the game, and that played itself out. You know, prior to ending the pregame show, we were looking at 18. Don't be shocked if you see an 18-17 game. But, boy, I'll tell you what, man, that thing got shut down in the second half, and the offense was shut down in the second half. The defense was run on. And in my opinion, once again, Zander, the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles, they got ran over in this ball game. They literally were ran over in this ball game. And what was able for them to get back in this game was the ability to be able to run the football. Protecting the football, not turning it over. They played Eagle football on them, basically, didn't they? I mean, they really got timely sacks. How many sacks did Jalen Hurts take today? Six? I know, too, that people were saying they were all minus-yard plays that he took in this ball game. Even with those two, Zander, you put them all together, they're minus-yardage plays.
Obviously, some have bigger impact, but you're right. I mean, 6 sacks is too many sacks. He looked like he was, struggling in the pocket Sills for a lot of that game. That pass rush, that Denver pass rush is really no joke, man. They get after the quarterbacks. I'm like still kind of in a little bit of a state of shock. One, the Eagles always figure out how to win games. They finally didn't figure out how to win a football game. Jalen Hurts was 23-38 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. One thing jumps out at me on the box score: 6 carries for Saquon Barkley.
No
Six
doubt.
carries for 30 yards for Saquon Barkley. Now, is this an overcorrection? I don't know. I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like they were trying to overcorrect, though, And then I look at the box score at the end of the game, and you're like, 6 carries for 30 yards.
They're not capable of having a balanced attack. It's clear in the play calling. Dude, 1 week you're here, 1 week you're here. They are not good at really being balanced in play calling. It's a tale of halves in how they do things, dude. I mean, really, the play calling is suspect at best. You know what John's going to say? Players got to make plays. Coaches got to put players in positions to be able to make plays too.
Agreed.
And to me, I mean, they basically got away completely from the run game. How many carries for Barkley? 6?
6 carries, Sills.
Okay, well then now look, I get that the injury to Landon Dickerson could maybe have played an issue in this, because they were not very good in the middle of the offensive line in this game. Denver beat them up, dude, in the second half of that game. They took complete control of that game, both offensive line-wise and defensive line-wise, and they got back into the football game, dominating the point of attack. The Eagles are not very good right now on the O-line and on the D-lines right now.
18-0 in the fourth quarter. That was the score of the fourth quarter. Denver had 18 unanswered to come back from 17-3 and win the football game 21-17 in this football game. Really crazy. So something I got to talk to you about.
How about the 15 points in 5.5 minutes?
Yeah.
They were able to roll back in on them.
Fell apart. The offense couldn't move the football, and the defense fell apart. Now, I still feel like this offense doesn't help this defense at all, but there's no doubt about the defense fell apart in the fourth quarter. I mean,
absolutely they did, man, and especially against the run. J.K. Dobbs really had an outstanding football game, especially in the second half when they were able to, really start to get control of that line. Dobbins had a really great game. Look at his Zander. I mean, in my opinion, those 79 yards and that touchdown, they were hard-earned runs in that game. 4 yards a clip. And as we said, if you take Jalen Hurts' 2 carries that he had in the football game out, you had 9 total carries in the game. For a team that is built around running the football, boy, I'll tell you what, like I said, Zander, You cannot in any way whatsoever see a balanced approach with this football team. Look, 38 attempts. Well, here's another stat for you. You know this, when they're throwing the ball 38 times or over 30 times, that football team's not going to win.
So
there's another example of that.
Do I right now, and I will eat this crow because I've been one that's been calling for a more balanced passing attack, a better approach in the air, and we need to do it. Well, the first game they do it, and Saquon has 6 carries, we lose the game. Do I look like the jerk off? Am I due a play to crow right here on the postgame show? Because we come out, Jalen Hurts, hey, how many yards he throw for today? We got our 280 yards, Pat, 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, 38 attempts, and we lose the game. Am I way off on this, man? Is this team really not built to play this way? What do you see here? How do you break this down?
They're just not,
what do you think?
They're just not a very balanced team, dude. They cannot call a balanced game. You overcorrect so much so that you throw the ball nearly 40 times in the game and you run the ball with Barkley only 6 times. Dude, and then again, I mean, why can't you get a little of both? We saw a little bit of it in the first half, didn't we? Yeah. I thought we saw a little more, like there was some balance with the passing, the running. They were playing defense. I'll tell you what, all them 3 and outs caught that defense in the second half, didn't they? They got tired in that second half. And I'll say this to you too. As good of a half that Mitchell had in the first half, he got beat in the second half.
And Keely Ringo, man, look, Keely Ringo was a noticeable liability today, both with penalties and coverage, all sorts of different areas. Sills, what do you make of all the penalties, man? I mean, look, I'm not a penalty guy. Like, I don't like to blame shit on officials. That was a weirdly officiated game. The Eagles had, I don't know, Broncos had 12 penalties for 121 yards. How about that? The Eagles had 9 penalties for 55 yards. But the thing about the Eagles penalties, they were such costly penalties. You know, that Zach Bond, I don't know. Did you think that was a penalty, that Zach Bond one?
I thought it was an overcorrecting of a penalty that they had earlier. And I thought there was a lot of overcorrecting going on. Like the refs would make a mistake and then they would go on a questionable call on another call. Yeah, again, it was a little bit topsy-turvy in how they called that football game. I didn't think it was a well-officiated game, obviously, and I thought the Bond play was a little bit over the top. I would have given that.
It was close, though, because he was on the ground and Bond came in toward the head. Yeah, and that's why I thought, because you came in toward the head, the officials are always a little, sensitive about that.
Absolutely. And did you notice the guy who threw the flag was the guy that was on the Broncos side? And I'm sure Peyton screaming at him on that side. So, I mean, listen, 21 penalties in a football game, almost 200 yards and total yards between both teams. Not a very well officiated football game.
How about coaching, Big Sills? And we're going to talk about we'll talk about some of the other things as well. We will talk about the A.J. Brown thing. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here in the JAKIB Postgame Show. Don't forget to hit that like button. The Eagles dropped the first game of their 2025 campaign. They're 4-1 on the year. They lose 21-17 to the Bo Nix-led Denver Broncos, and he made a litany of mistakes today too, but found a way to win the football game in the end. Big Sills, felt to me today like the Philadelphia Eagles were outcoached. What say you?
Absolutely. I mean, you had a lesser talented football team beat you today. I mean, we saw it the other day when the San Francisco 49ers had a well-coached game with Kyle Shanahan, and I thought that Sean McVay's Rams ended up getting outcoached in that game. I completely thought they were outcoached. And by the way, did Sean Payton, in my opinion, with Bo Nix in the second half of that game, he had the better and the upper hand of Vic Fangio in that second half.
Yes, he did.
You could say whatever
first half he did not. Second half he completely did.
Okay.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, right, Sills, how can you deny it?
18 points.
Yeah, 18 points in the fourth quarter. 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter.
With Bo Nix. Okay, so he had the upper hand. How about Sean Payton with the Nuggets, unlike Sean McVay going for it for 2?
Yeah.
And that was the decision of the game for him because that forced the Eagles to have to go for a touchdown.
Right, and they would have been able to tie the football. Exactly. They would have been able to tie the football game at the end.
That's having Stundines to be able to know you're on the road. I got to win a game. I'm not beating this team by kicking an extra point. They're going to come back and run down the field. Elliott would have hit that. We'd be in overtime. Eagles win at home. And Peyton said, no way. We're going for the win right here.
Sills, I have been a defender of A.J. Brown this year, okay? A.J. Brown has had a propensity in the last couple weeks to tip his hand on when he's not getting the football.
Correct.
By stopping his runs, by not being fully committed, whether he's getting the ball or not. And today, I thought that really caught him, and it really burned him. And on that touchdown pass, what looked to be a perfect ball from Jalen Hurts, AJ slows up. He must have not thought the ball was coming his way, and it bites you in the ass. He's not there. They miss on a big touchdown throw there, which could have really opened the game up and changed the complete outcome of the game. I'm sorry, but that's egregious by A.J. Brown. You're a $32 million wide receiver. You're a captain of this football team. Whether you think you're getting the ball or not, whether Jalen Hurts throws for 50 yards or 450 yards, you got to keep your legs moving. And I thought that really, really, really cost the team in the second half of the game today.
I'll tell you, man, I think A.J. Brown, man, when play comes play side to him, he's electric. But when the plays don't go to him, and it's not with any involvement, the play call is designed for. Boy, I'll tell you what, man, he gives you a half-ass effort. And I thought, again, everything that he did in that football game, we were expecting him to have a breakout football game. Thank God for DeVonta. DeVonta had a huge ball game today, and I thought he was great. I thought AJ was lost out there, man. And I'll tell you what, Patrick Surtain, I thought Patrick Surtain had his way with him.
Yeah, well, he did. He did for the most part. I mean, there was a couple catches here and there, but you're right. Pat Surtain is just a lockdown player. Big Sills, the offense remains the problem here. And look, we're going to talk more about A.J. Brown. We'll get John McMullen's taking it later in the show. We will go to our Super Chats a little bit later on. I want to thank everybody for being here. Hit that like button. Defense wasn't great. There's no doubt. But let me just run you down 4 drives. Again, we have the tale of two halves. Eagles' second half drives, and this is after, obviously, the massive Saquon Barkley touchdown throw, which was a great play by Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, before their final desperation drives. They had 4 drives between that touchdown drive and their final desperation drive. Ready? 5 plays, 23 yards, punt. 3 plays, minus 16 yards, punt. 3 plays, negative 6 yards, punt. 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. That's 3 3-and-outs, 1 5-yard drive, 14 plays that results in 3 yards of offense. I mean,
they can't run the ball.
What is it with this offense, though, where they are like addicted to being as inconsistent as you can possibly be within a game? I think
it's predictable. I think it's predictable. You're either going to throw it or you're going to run it. You're not going to do both. Xander, name me. Again, I thought I saw a little bit of balance in the first half. Once they got behind, they completely got away from the balance. They did not want to run the football at all. How many carries did Saquon Barkley have in the second half? What did he have? 2?
I'd have to look at what he got in the second half.
What did he have? 2 carries in the second half? They
and the funny part about that is we didn't lose the lead until the fourth quarter. So it's not like we were playing from behind to where you don't want to run the football. The score was 17-3 until the fourth quarter.
He had 1 carry in the second half.
1 carry in the second half.
1 carry.
Well, now I feel like a jerk off because I'm the one who's been calling for a passing game. And when I say these things, I think there's some level of balance that can automatically be applied by a common sense perspective. And now we have 6 carries to Saquon Barkley in an entire football game. 1 carry in the second half.
1 carry in the second half.
And you're leading going into the fourth quarter. How do you even have that?
And I'll tell you what, man, if you really want to know about stretching the ball down the field, boy, that Eagle team, man, I'll tell you, they struggle by by being a little bit more creative. It is just not a very creative offense, man. It became so predictable by the second half. Man. And then for the play calling to get away. Dude, how do you not give Barkley 1 carry in the second half? How's that possible? And then your defense gives up 18 points in the second half to that offense.
In the fourth quarter, man. Fourth quarter, all in the fourth quarter.
That offense, would we consider that offense to be lesser than the Rams? That offense is not a proficient offense, is it? That's a very average offense with very average names. And they put up 18 points in the fourth quarter on Vic Fangio. Holy cow, did Sean Payton coach the shit out of Vic in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, Bo Nix was 24-39 in this game, 242, a touchdown, 2 sacks for 14 yards. He was solid in that second half. There's no doubt about it. He got the best of it. Big Sales, quarterback one for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, 23-38 today, 280, 2 touchdowns, 6 sacks, 23 yards. Grade the performance today. What'd you see out there from Jalen today?
The only reason that they were in this ball game is because the quarterback played as good as he did. I mean, Jalen played another good football game. This really comes down on, get this, think about this. Jalen played well, right? The components around him. Barkley,
second half, it didn't feel like Jalen played well in the second half.
Listen, I thought he kept them in that ball game, dude. Without him, what else did you have? You had no run game. You're limited in your play calling. Dude, this came down, in my opinion, to situational play calling, too. How many 3 and outs did they have in the second half? Boom, out, boom, out, boom, out.
Great. Yeah, and the other one wasn't only 5 plays, so.
Dude, they were stealing possessions in the second half with the Broncos. Man, and I'm going to say it again, dude, because I saw people tweeting at me, and I did it for a reason. I know I saw Jalen run out of bounds for those 2 sacks, and I went right there. You know what's going to happen? They're going to force him to run right, which they did, and then they were going to always have him on the run, defending half the football field to the right. That was a design by Vance Joseph. And in the end of the game, he ended up taking 6 sacks. 6 sacks, dude. At the end of the game, all minus yardage. I'd like to know how much in sacks those minus yardage were, because it had to be like 50 yards. And let me see down here the number and what he took in sacks. He took 23 yards, 6 sacks for 23 yards. You think they'd like to have had those 23 yards somewhere in the game? Dude, those are all minus plays there. I don't know, man.
Look, I know the Broncos did a good job today against the run.
4 sacks. Obviously. If you don't want to count those 2, 4 sacks today.
I get that the Broncos did a good job today against the run with Saquon Barkley, but I don't get how you lead a game for 3 quarters of the game.
Conservative.
Your running back has 6 carries. Like, even if he's not running the ball well, he should have more carries than that.
And if you looked at it, if I'm not mistaken, I thought he had 5 yards of carry. I mean,
no,
he only carries the football. He had 5 yards.
Yeah, 5 yards of carry. Yeah,
he had 5 yards.
I think he had 1 for 17 yards, and then he had 5 for 13 on the other 5.
Okay, so I mean,
that's part of it. I mean, you get
he's the home run hitter, Zander.
Right, I know.
He's going to get 3, 4, 5, and then 18. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's a home run hitter. For them to abandon the run game like that, for a team that is built on the run game. Okay, so they went to the pass with everybody. I don't think anybody in here is talking like this. Hey, we want to have 40 attempts in passing. I think people are just looking at this. I don't know, 25 passing attempts, maybe 28 rushing attempts, have a little balance in the football game, so you can keep people at bay, put people to sleep. The big problem, and we mentioned it, I don't know how many times, the difference with this team and a year ago, you can't put anybody away. Think about this. You couldn't put the 2-2 Broncos away. The 2-2 Broncos on the road by almost 3,000 miles at 2-2 roll in, and they end up coming back 15 down with 5:30 left in the third quarter, and they end up coming back to beat you. That's crazy, dude. Crazy. I really, coaching, player accountability in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, those defensive guys have to have a come-to-Jesus conversation, man.
I don't get why they're so inconsistent from half to half. It almost feels like a guarantee.
Because they're not a play calling offensive coordinator that's going to have the balance. Did you see balance with Sean Payton? Sean Payton was the balance coordinator in that game with lesser talent, right?
Yeah, he absolutely
was. Look at the attempts. They had 29 rushing attempts, and Bo Nix had 39 passing attempts. Why can't the Eagles do that? I mean, the Eagles were nowhere near that. Their main guy had 6 carries. A guy a year ago at 2,005 rushing yards. Hey, Zander, I said he'd have less than 1,400 yards. I'm starting to think he may have less than 1,200 yards this year.
I just don't get why there's no ability to have any sort of balance in this game. But again, I'm the one who called for the passing game. I'm happy to eat my crow on the postgame show here today. They come out, throw 38 times. Jalen Hurts has his 280 yards passing in the game, and we lose the game. Like, again, sometimes you got to boil it down. Sometimes you got to look yourself. I've been calling for more balance. I've been calling for them to throw the ball more. Well, we're 0-1 when we throw the ball a lot this year. We're 4-0 when we don't. I feel like an asshole.
I feel like doing something that Jalen likes to do. Well, is that what you want to see?
No.
Is that what you want to see?
Because this is why
AJ's going to have AJ has to answer, and he will answer for this because people will ask, okay, we threw the ball more and it cost us to lose.
Right.
You guys wanted the ball in the air so much, and now the ball was in the air and they didn't run the ball. If you're Saquon Barkley, don't you have a complaint? Hey, we won all those games a year ago. We got to the Super Bowl with one way. Right. Now we're reverting back. And get this, Zander, you lost a football game without any turnovers. And you lost a football game without creating a turnover to the Broncos. That ain't a world beater in the AFC, dude. And they came into your building and beat you.
I'll tell you what, that's a signature win for them.
Oh, by far. Oh, my God, that's a signature win for Bo Nix.
Jalen Hurts
beating the undefeated defending champs on the road? Yeah, I think so.
How big of a problem is this A.J. Brown stuff, Sills? Giving up on routes and stuff like that when you got a C on your chest after, obviously, what happened last week. How big of a concern is it for you? Is it just caught in the moment? How do you see it as a former player?
Absolutely. I keep asking the questions to you and John. How do you think – remember I asked John even – how do you think all the noise is going to affect the football team going into Sunday? And here we go again. Now it's going to be a litany of questions today, tomorrow, and all next week. You did exactly what we wanted, AJ, and it cost us an L. Your mentality of winning ball games is an L compared to the winning formula that we had here. And what I don't like is, did the coaches relent and want to throw the ball more instead of getting away from the formula? That's poor coaching. Stick to what made you great, dude. They could not get a run game. I said it on the pregame. Whoever wins the rushing attack will win the football game, and Denver dominated at the point of attack. How many yards rushing did the Eagles end up in this football game with? I mean, it wasn't a lot.
Rushing yards total, 45 yards. Dylan had 12. Saquon had 30. Jalen had 3. Will Shipley had a carry for 0 yards. 11 carries for 45 total rushing yards in this football game for the Eagles offense.
And Denver had 130 on 29 carries at 4.5 a carry.
Dude, Denver ran 70 plays. They ran 70 plays.
Bro, but they held you to 55.
And so you said something before the game. They play like they're like a young version of the Eagles team. You're kind of right. That's how they played today. Balanced, dominated the clock, made their move late, and capitalized.
No turnovers.
No turnovers.
This is the 2021 Eagles. Is what you're looking at with Denver. Okay? They are building their team exactly the way you guys are. Remember I said in the pregame too, Zander, you're almost playing a mirror of yourselves in this game here today. And it turned out to be that way. But I'm telling you, Sean Payton had the better hand in the fourth quarter on Vic. This was the first time Vic's guys let him down. I don't think Vic's scheme let him down. I think the players got beat. Sutton made some big plays. The tight end made some plays. Hey, dude, the running back was running hard in the second half for the Broncos, and Bo Nix protected the football, dude. I mean, that was a pretty good – I thought they really had a good –
Nix got you're right. Bo Nix got the better of Vic Fangio in the second half. There's no doubt about it.
And Sean put him into – but look at the difference in play calling between Sean putting Bo Nix in a position to win and Patullo not putting Jalen Hurts in a position not to win. That's what it looked like to me in that game. Now, again, player accountability, player responsibility, all of that. There were a lot of drop passes out there on both sides of the football, but they dominated the Eagles in the second half of that game, dude. I mean, this is like the third time that I've seen a half where they've been dominated. I mean, Zander, dominated. Look at 2 of 11 on third down, too. That was another one.
What'd you think of Keely Ringo today, Sills? He had 6 targets on him, 4 receptions for 55 yards, 3 first downs allowed today. I thought he was spotty. What'd you make of Keely Ringo today? By the way, I'll say this, and we're going to talk about Ringo because obviously it was one of his early games here, and he's been a story. But Quinyon Mitchell wasn't great today. But go ahead with Keely Ringo.
Quinyon Mitchell in the first half, I thought was lights out. I thought in the second half that he ended up getting some plays made on him. I'll say it again, Zander. The corners that they have over at the right side there with Dory Jackson and with Keely Ringo, these guys are such a fall off from Rodgers and Slay that were over there last year. It is so noticeable. And you know what's going to happen? I thought Sean Payton started finding that side of the football field and started going over there more. More teams are going to start to see that as they game plan further going against you. And hey, I'm telling you, man, that kid Dart's not that bad. I'm not saying in this next game coming up here that the Giants are going to be any kind of problem for the Eagles, but boy, I didn't think Bo Nix was spectacular in that game. But I'll tell you, he made efficient plays on third down. He moved the sticks. They got some help with some officiating, I thought, in the game. I don't like going there either. I think that's always an excuse. But, bro, I think that play calling by the Eagles on that side of the ball, I'm going to disagree with anybody who says that why can't you have any kind of balance? And when someone comes out and says this, and I know what people are going to say, the game predicated whether or not you go to running the ball or not. Dude, the game was fucking tied. I mean, you don't have to sit there and panic and get away from your run game. Zander, like when you're down with the Rams, that's one thing to get down and throw the ball a lot and get away from the run game because you're down 14 points. You were up all the way until the fourth quarter, dude. You didn't have to get away. Saquon Barkley had 1 freaking carry in the second half. 1 carry, $2,000.
It's crazy.
The offensive player of the year had 1 carry in the second half.
Crazy.
Absolutely not acceptable.
I just gave you the numbers on Keely Ringo here, and for the, just to give you guys the full look at it, Quinyon Mitchell today versus the Broncos had 9 targets on him, 6 receptions, 81 yards, 5 first downs allowed with 1 pass breakup. So I mentioned Ringo wasn't great, but Quinyon might have been worse today. Unfortunately, they picked on him, and I'm wondering if he's over. He's a great player. I'm not trying to say he's not a great player, but at some point you're going to get beat. Cortland Sutton had his way with him in the fourth quarter.
He did.
Got to tip your cap too. I mean, look, you're playing versus great players. Cortland Sutton had a great fourth quarter there, but Quinyon got beat up.
He did, and also I would make the point that Sean Payton had a brilliant call second half. And you know what he did, Zander? When that thing was, what was it, 10-3 at half? What was it, 10-3, 17-3? What was the halftime?
10-3 at halftime, and then they scored in the opening drive to Saquon Barkley.
When it was 10-3 at half, I said, this is a Denver game. Because Denver wants the ball. They want the low score. They can't have high score because that means the Eagles are having their way with them defensively. And that led into Denver's game. Now, when they came out, you're like, wow, they're just going to start stepping on the gas. But they couldn't put them away. Why? They can't run the ball right now. That offensive line, Zander, and Jeff Stoutland's guys, this is the worst I've seen Jeff Stoutland's offensive line in 4 years. Maybe all these injuries, maybe the age, maybe all that is starting to catch up. I told you this. Maybe you and I talked about it. Maybe we said that Landon Dickerson should shit a couple of games out here the next couple of weeks to get himself healthy for the stretch run down the line. He can't finish ball games, dude.
Yeah, he's struggling, man. It might have been better that he didn't finish it up today. We got a bunch of super chats. We're going to get to all of them. I want to thank James Carter for 50. We got a bunch of you guys, so we'll get to all super chats in a second here. Big Sills, here we are now, and I want to try and bring this all together with the conversation that we've had. And again, I've said I'll eat my plate of crow today, but offensively now, we lose the game. We have a bigger offensive output when it comes to the passing game, which many of us wanted, me included. Again, I'm wrong on that, clearly, as evidence now proves or shows for the time being. And we're complaining again. So it's like we pass the ball and we lose the game. Is the best way for this team to legitimately just be one of the worst passing teams in football? I mean, it really might be.
Well, I said they wouldn't do anything different, and they did. And It cost them. Why would they come out of a 20-1 way of winning ball games? You had it in hand. You had the game in your hand. You had complete control of the game. It was 17-3, dude. It was in complete control at home. You had everything. All you had to do was start running the football. Even Hurts getting in RPOs. What did they do? 3 and outs, 2 of 11 on third down. You started giving possessions back to Denver. Hoss, I mean, they're incapable of running any kind of balanced attack. They just refuse. You're either running it a lot or you're throwing it a lot. And most of the time, when you throw it a lot, I'd like to know this stat, Zander. How many times in the last 20 games how many wins have you had with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball over 35 times?
I don't know what the stat is, but you're right. It'd be interesting to find out, but I don't know what it is at the top here.
Because that game looked like to me like the first 4 games like you played a year ago.
So did they listen to AJ? Do you think that's why do you think they did this? Or, I mean, the Broncos were good against the run today. I do think you have to add that in. I mean, they were a good team against the run. Now, I don't think you have to abandon it to the tune of 6 runs, but.
No, I do. I think that they were down low in the past.
You think they listened to AJ, though?
Of course they did. I think they took into account also DeVonta. Dude, all those guys, I mean, they got targets today.
Well, I'll tell you what, DeVonta Smith looks like a wide receiver. It looks more than capable of being wide receiver number 1, if you're asking me. I mean, he looked like a stud early in the year here.
I got it, but having that guy on the other side, dude, I'm not.
No, I know that. I know that.
If you put Jahan Dotson over there and you got DeVonta over there, I'm not worried about Dotson.
The only thing I'm worried about, though, well, that was a hell of a that play in the first half, though, that was ruled out of bounds. That was a great throw by Jalen Hurts and a great catch by Jahan Dotson, just a smidge out of bounds. But, with A.J. Brown, I mentioned the only thing I'm upset about him today. I mean, you can't take plays off, and I think he got in a little bit of a habit of taking plays off because he knew the ball was never coming to him. And then when the ball actually does come to him and you stop running and then you leave your quarterback out high and dry, that looked like it was going to be a perfect ball, running in for a touchdown. And A.J. Brown just pulled up on the route early. Then he tried to go get it and couldn't get there. I mean, I thought that was a bad play, man. That was
in the fourth quarter. The Broncos had 159 yards in offense, 18 points, and the Eagles had 22 yards of offense in the fourth quarter. 22 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter to hold the game off. 22. They were outgained 160 yards to 22 in the fourth quarter. Holy cow. Did they get stymied and shut down by Vance Joseph? They were just completely outcoached in that game. On both sides of the football. Dude, you had a 15-point lead with 5 minutes left. I mean, in the third. Now the conversation's going to go back to, all right, so we tried to go with throwing the ball more. Now do we go back to running the ball? Don't you? I mean, you talk about identity. You talk about identity problems. How about the offensive coordinator?
But remember, we can't fall into the trap.
The offensive coordinator doesn't have an identity.
I know that, but we also can't fall into the trap that we ran the ball well in the first 4 games. We can't just forget that for a second. We haven't been running the football well either. So that's a continuation.
Yeah, but that's been their approach.
I know it has, and I'm sure they're going to go back to that. But I think first things in order, you got to get that offensive line healthier, man, because they're not the same offensive line.
They are not, and I think Cam Jurgens too. I mean, I'm not just putting it on Landon's injury too. I'm putting it on Cam. How about Dean getting caught down the field too? Those are hard. Those pass plays like that. They caught him down the field because, as Tony Romo said in the broadcast, his number one objective is to try to get onto the second level. That was a critical play in that thing because you guys had gained a good gain on that one. It was a first down, I believe. Then they had to come back. Legal man downfield. I mean, it's just not very creative, dude.
No, it's really not.
It is just not a very good and creative offense.
No, it's not at all. We're going to have John McMullen joining the show here in a little bit. He'll be talking to doing the post-game press conferences, with the head coach, the quarterback, and some other guys who speak after the game. And then we will speak to John here on the post-game show. We will get to all super chats as well, so appreciate everybody for checking in. We'll start with James Carver, $50. Thanks, everybody, for all the great super chats. You guys help keep us on the air. So big thanks to everybody today. The Birds dropped their first game of 2025. I'll give you guys real quick. I give you guys two positives here on this loss. And I know it's tough to do, and not everybody wants to think about it like that. If you're going to drop a game, dropping a game to an AFC team is always a much preferred thing to do when you're battling for seeding and battling for playoff positioning. All right, so you lose to an AFC team. I'd much rather lose here than lose to an NFC opponent. And then number two, if you think back to last year, and I don't want to compare it exactly, but the loss is ultimately the catalyst point for the Eagles to really find their identity, stick to their identity, and go off and running. Perhaps you have a moment here where a loss in the game or loss early in the year allows everybody to have the come to Jesus conversation. Maybe for A.J. Brown, it's shut up about targets. Maybe for the offensive line, it's we got to be better. Maybe for Kevin Patullo, it's I got to be more bound. Whatever the come to Jesus conversation is, depending on what player you're talking about, maybe this is the catalyst for them to all have it and find their rhythm here as we move into week number 6 coming up. The Eagles have a quick week, Thursday night game versus the New York Football Giants in New York at MetLife Field. Let's go to James Carver. James, $50 super chat. Thank you, brother. That's a banger. He says, the experiments at right guard. Steen's all right at pass blocking, but horrible at run blocking. Cornerback 2, Ringo's only a special teamer. An edge, everyone's development. Hunt's the only acceptable one. Free agency vets are all underperforming, and Saquon won't rock until Fred replaces Steen. You think Fred on the inside, though, James? I don't think they're moving Fred to the inside.
Okay, Zander. So you said that about those guys. Maybe this is something that they're going to have a come to Jesus conversation, and maybe they're going to also find themselves here. Well, let me give you the other side of that. Just like when you guys were 9-0, and I'm not saying this is any kind of meltdown. Maybe other coordinators have caught up with you because of your predictability and that you can't call a balanced attack. You were beaten by a football team. What would you say that roster is? The Broncos. I mean, in the AFC, what would you say? 10? 8? Best roster in the AFC, maybe?
I don't know. They got good offensive line, defensive line.
Okay, do you think that team's going to make noise in the playoffs?
I think they have a chance. They made the playoffs last year, first year Bo Nix. But
okay,
to your point, they're not supposed to be the Super Bowl contender.
No, that's not a premium team. It's a good team. I'm not taking anything away from them. Remember, they were probably the most balanced team you played to date. Do you not agree? They weren't great on offense. They were really good on defense. They were well coached. They weren't really spectacular at anything except the edge guys, right? And Surtain. They came in, they were probably Dallas. Look, Dallas has got the number 1 offense in the NFL and the number 32nd ranked defense. Kansas City's all over the board because of their wideouts. They're trying to get their footing now. The Rams are probably another one of those teams that have great balance. I'd say the Rams are a little bit better. By the way, it just shows you. The Rams, they get beat the other night by a limited San Francisco team. Don't go to sleep on Sundays, dude. You don't – this Philadelphia Eagle team's margin of error is not what it was a year ago. You're not going into any game blowing anybody out. And I know everybody's expecting that. Bro, we've now gone to 5 games, right? We kind of getting a sense of where we are. Now, will they shift a different gear and all of a sudden become a balanced attack? I don't believe so. They haven't been balanced in 2 years.
Today was the first game I really said they are not. They look poorly coached today because of the lack of discipline, the penalties, the pre-snap penalty steals were just crazy, man. I mean, you can't run that's part of the offensive, lack of execution though in that second half. You just have such timely penalty. The Broncos actually had way more penalties in the game and way more penalty yardage in the game, probably largely attributed to the pass interferences down the field, but still. The Eagles had super timely penalties in that game. That was one of the first times where I think you can honestly say coaching was really bad in that game in terms of just having the guys ready. A lot of coaching.
Like I said, I thought Vic was okay in the first half. I thought he
No,
was.
I'm not saying Vic. I'm saying just as a team. You know, when you have a coach team that takes a lot of penalties, that typically means they're not being coached to be disciplined in the approach. At least that was what I was taught. James Carver, your response to James, you talked about Steen as a pass blocker versus a run blocker, and then also Ringo only being a special teamer.